Hey neighbor, welcome back to Beyond ARTV. My name is John, and today we're going to be diving into the top 50 best-selling albums of all time. If you're not familiar with how this is tabulated, the RIAA, aka the Recording Association of America, tabulates everything. They keep up with album sales, and beginning in 1991, the year that I was born, the SoundScan era began, where stores and other outlets, online and brick-and-mortar stores, they log their sales, they're kind of uploaded over to them, and so there's a more accurate representation of what's actually selling physical units. Obviously, this evolved even further as technology left its footprint big time. We had the digital download era, places like iTunes were counted, and now, living in the streaming era, album sales are starting to tank massively, but obviously they do have some weight behind them. That's why you see albums charting very high with streaming figures included, because people just aren't really spending the cash unless they want the vinyl or the CD for their collection. Basically, I'm trying to brace you for this being like a lot of stuff post 1991 and also like a lot of greatest hits albums, and it's not like they didn't keep up with album sales at all before 1991. It just wasn't as accurate, and there's not ever going to be an exact number. This list was compiled by Business Insider. If you want to check out the original article, that is linked in the description down below. This is just the top 50, and this is accurate as of the end of 2020. Also, I don't want this to sound like I'm talking down to you, but if you're not familiar with the certification process, 500,000 units is gold, 1 million is platinum, and then 10 million is diamond. In at number 50 to start the list, it's Matchbox 20 with Yourself or Someone Like You, 12 million plus units certified. That's a lot higher than I was expecting, honestly, to start the list. So that means everything in the top 50 is at the bare minimum certified 12 times platinum, well over diamond. 49, Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory. I had heard a rumor about this landing a little bit higher on the list in the top 100 somewhere ahead of its 20th anniversary last fall. It's now 20 plus years old, and it sits on the all-time records list with 12 million plus units sold in the United States alone. Hybrid Theory was their debut album, and this kickstarted a nu metal revolution. Led Zeppelin, Zeppelin 2 at number 48 with 12 million as well. I expect to see a few other from Zeppelin on here, and at number 47 we have the greatest hits. I definitely predicted this. R.I.P. to Kenny, at number 47, also around 12 million sold. This one creeping up the all-time list does not surprise me at all. Kenny G, however, I did not expect to see on this list. I did not know that many people liked jazz, but that's cool. Kenny G, I got respect for you, of course. 12 million at number 46. Well done. Jewel, Pieces of You, another staple of the 90s, and especially the singer-songwriter scene. Def Leppard's Hysteria in at number 44. That is definitely, I would say, I think this is going to be their highest on the list, period. This is the one that pretty much everyone knows from the album cover, and just this being the high point of their career in terms of people talking about them and knowing them and requesting songs for them to play live off of this album. Boyz II Men with 2, of course, taking it from the middle of their name. This is Boyz II Men 2, 12 million units certified at number 43. Down at number 42, Slippery When Wet by Bon Jovi, 12 million as well. This is definitely the biggest Bon Jovi album. I'm just gonna bet my entire life on that right now, because there's no way that anything charts any higher than this. All of these are 12 million so far. When are we gonna break it out? Whitney Houston in at number 41 with 13 million. There you go. Throw it off with a legend like Whitney. The Chicks at number 40 with Wide Open Spaces. I had no idea this sold 13 million plus copies. 39, I see the iconic album artwork already. It's Purple Rain by Prince and The Revolution with 13 million plus units. An icon right there. Rest in peace, Prince. At 38, Pearl Jam's 10. That doesn't surprise me. That's one of those albums that I feel like almost everyone, myself included, has on vinyl. So for it to continue selling well to this day, it came out in 1991, which, as I mentioned, that's when SoundScan started. They had the benefit of putting it out and having every single unit counted and accounted for. 13 million on a rock album? That would never happen in the 2020s, but along we go down to 37. It's Springsteen with a live album. I think we're gonna see a few of those for sure. This is with the E Street Band from 75 to 85, and I know there's gonna be more Bruce in the top 50. My heart, the Backstreet Boys with Millennium. Just look at that all-white suit look. 13 million people paid a lot of money to have every edition of this album. I had family members that would scoop up like 5 copies of this. It was them versus NSYNC, the battle of the boy bands, and I'm curious to see if NSYNC actually pulls up an upset and actually appears on the top 50. The Steve Miller Band with the greatest hits, a classic rock, of course, right here. I think we're gonna see plenty of that as we go along. Simon and Garfunkel's greatest hits, of course, compilations sell like crazy. People want the greatest hits on CD or vinyl. Drive around with it in your car. Of course, you can't go wrong with Simon and Garfunkel. Definitely one of my classic favorites. Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell is on this list? I had no idea that Meatloaf sold like that. Holy shit, 14 million units. That is 14 times platinum, people, for Meatloaf. And of course, you know the song. That's such a trip, man. Garth Brooks down at number 32. Garth is looking a lot different back then, but the cowboy hat remains the same. Garth is a hell of an entertainer. His music is not always my cup of tea, but you can't argue with the album sales and the fact that this album alone, 14 million plus for Rope in the Wind. Britney Spears, as we creep closer to the top 50, Baby One More Time. I believe this was either her debut, it was at the very least her breakout album, and yes, I was there for the boom of this. Britney Spears was everywhere. A lot of people hated her, a lot of people were talking about her, and a lot of people bought this album, people. The Backstreet Boys, again, they are striking twice before NSYNC even gets on the board. Another 14 mil, just a cool 14 mil for the self-titled album. Finally, into the 2010s, we see something from Adele, the legend, the queen herself, who can actually sell albums because she appeals to so many different generations. Her voice is truly ascendant. She resonates with so many people and audiences worldwide for very good reason. At 28, of course, the Beatles compilation. I think everybody probably has this in the record collection. My fiance has it. I see it pretty regularly, and I know that most people have this one. So, of course, this album, and I'm sure several others like the White Album and Abbey Road, they have to be here. Santana's Supernatural. That's gotta be the one with Rob Thomas on it, because that song was a long-running hit. It set records back in the day because Smooth was fucking everywhere, and Supernatural, I don't think I've actually heard the full album before. Dark Side of the Moon, to no one's surprise, clocks in at number 26. I thought this would have been a bit higher, but 15 million units, that speaks volumes right there. In recent times, there's been a lot of discussion about what the best Pink Floyd albums are, and of course, sales do not mean best or worst or anything. It's the quality of the music and how it affects you, but 15 million for Dark Side, that doesn't surprise me, because that album cover with the prism and the light, still to this day, I think it draws listeners in to find out what it is. Greatest Hits by Journey? Yeah, that doesn't surprise anyone. I don't think anybody's going to be too confused as to why that's there. Everyone that does their holiday or Black Friday shopping at Walmart, you know you picked up a copy of this. 15 plus million for Journey, of course. Don't Stop Believin', they can do this, and so can Bruce Springsteen with Born in the USA, another one of the most iconic albums and album covers of all time. I'm not super into the boss's music, unpopular opinion, but some of the songs on this, I can't even argue with at all. It's legendary. Bob Marley and the Wailers, that was gonna be one of the ones that I mentioned at the start of this video when I made some predictions, but with 15 plus million sold, legend, it's right there in the title, of course. Metallica with the Black Album at 22, 16 million. My God, what a massive move for metal. This was another one that came out in 1991, right as the SoundScan era began. Every copy accounted for. That doesn't surprise me to see it on the list. What does surprise me is seeing a metal band up this high in the top 25. Very impressive, Metallica. Going on down, it's Led Zeppelin with Physical Graffiti. That actually surprises me that there's that much of a gap between this and Led Zeppelin 2 that had 12 million. This is at 16. Obviously, both are astronomical figures, but now I'm wondering, are we going to see Led Zeppelin 4? The Bee Gees with the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. Yeah, baby, disco will never die. This sold 15 million, and all of the parents that were born in like the 70s, you know they've got a copy of this hiding somewhere. Even if they won't admit it to you, they do have it, or else they had it at some point in their life. Staying alive, staying alive. Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill, some 90s representation all the way at 19? That definitely caught me off guard. I thought that was going to be around like the bottom 10, and then when I didn't see it, I was like, oh, maybe it hasn't sold as much as I thought. 16 million? Never mind, Joey Gladstone from Full House, I'm glad you broke her heart because we got this album, baby. Number 18, it's The Beatles, another compilation act, the later years, 67 through 70, so you're going to get stuff from the White Album, of course, and some of their more experimental stuff, and the final album, Let It Be. Number 17, Elton John with his greatest hits, The Rocket Man right there. Of course, he's going to blast his way onto this list. I expect to see several more classics like this in greatest hits form. Boston's Boston, that is another one that you will find in every record store bin, and that is a good thing. I think everybody should have a copy of this album, and some are going to say that they're extremely overrated. I just find their music to be so uplifting, something that you can just kind of toss your fears aside to, and apparently 17 million in the States alone thought the same thing. This is an album that you pass on to future generations. There we have Whitney Houston again with the Bodyguard soundtrack at number 15. I knew we were going to see this as soon as I saw the self-titled album, but with songs like I Will Always Love You appearing on here, 18+ million for the entire album. What movie soundtrack is gonna sell like that unless it's Whitney? As we roll on at number 14, Appetite for Destruction from 1987, 18 million. This was a hell of a debut. They made a splash for a reason. Axl Rose's voice, Slash grinding it out, Duff McKagan, everybody in this band was firing on all cylinders for this release. And well, it's a bit beefy, maybe a little bit too, I don't know, testosterone heavy for me at some points. When I do get into this album, it always carves out a sweet spot, and of course, it still continues to sell well to this day. Number 13 is Garth Brooks again with No Fences. I am not surprised in any way, shape, or form. Garth is one of the legends of country music. At number 12, Shania Twain, back-to-back country. Shania and Garth, along with the Dixie Chicks, I'm seeing a lot of stuff that formed my taste, and it's good to see the good stuff just actually did sell that well. I can't imagine 20 people, let alone 20 million, buying something that I made, so I wonder how that feels as an artist to reflect on these numbers. It's too big, it's too much bigger than life itself. Creeping to the top 10, at number 11, we have Fleetwood Mac with Rumors. Wow, I thought that was gonna be a shoo-in for the top 10, but it didn't quite make it. 20 million, just not enough for the top 10. It kept gunning. I think it's gonna get there. Obviously, songs like Dreams and even The Chain are still extremely popular. They've seen a resurgence on social media. It makes me really happy because while there is kind of a different way that these songs are being viewed and interpreted and used and everything like that, as long as new fans are being born, that's really all that matters. And I hope that they'll continue to check out albums like Tango in the Night and obviously the self-titled too. Before we enter the top 10, if you have not liked the video already and you've been enjoying this, please tap that. It helps support the channel immensely, and hit that subscribe button too. I am scared to scroll because what if we get something just really awful in the top 10, and it's Hootie and the Blowfish with Cracked Rear View. I hate to see that over Fleetwood Mac. Not that I hate this, but good God, this sold 21 million? Damn, Darius Rucker. Cracked Rear View is just something that I feel is so of its time. I can't believe they blew up to the magnitude that they did, but let's keep going. In number 9, we have Garth Brooks with Double Live. This is Garth Brooks. I stated it earlier. You're gonna see him a lot on this list, and here he is again. Wow, The Wall at number 8. I thought the roles would have been reversed on this with Dark Side and The Wall, but still, they both sold millions upon millions upon millions, so it's just numbers at the end of the day. But I'm glad to see a Pink Floyd album in the top 10 for sure. This one was super ambitious, and some of my favorite Pink Floyd songs actually live here, like Hey You. There's Led Zeppelin 4, all the way at number 7. I thought we would see this, so that means they have 3 albums in the top 50, 23 million plus sold, including the CD and vinyl copies that sit back there on my shelf. Absolute classic. And at number 6, we have Billy Joel with Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2 compilation stuffed together. That makes sense that all of those songs stuffed on a couple of discs would sell extremely well, to the degree of 23 plus million for the Piano Man. Number 5, it's the White Album by the Beatles. I told you guys so many times that we were gonna see this, and I knew we would. I think Abbey Road is probably gonna be up next, but 24 million or more for the White Album by the Beatles. And at number 4, it's actually Back in Black by AC/DC. Okay, yeah, I kind of forgot about that. I should have known it was gonna be up high. Walmart has always had partnerships with AC/DC, at least for a while. I mean, they had an exclusive album, Black Ice. They promote the vinyl for this consistently, and obviously AC/DC being one of the biggest rock bands on the entire planet, they speak for themselves in this album cover. The music from this, it just continues to live on, so it shouldn't be a surprise that that's the perfect storm for huge album sales to the degree of 25 plus million. Number 3, it's the Eagles. I thought for sure that was going to be Abbey Road by the Beatles, but it's Eagles instead with Hotel California, 26 million. I actually thought this might be number 1. I didn't know exactly where this would land, but I'm kind of surprised. Is Abbey Road not going to be on the list? Because if so, I feel really dumb, but I mean, you see it everywhere. 26 million for Hotel California. Michael Jackson, Thriller in number 2. 33 million. My God, that is a large jump from 26 all the way up to 33 million. Thriller, of course, the album that transcended MJ from not just the child and the person who was singing with the Jackson 5. He was going to make it as a solo artist, and not just that, he was going to be the king of pop. It's a chef's kiss for this one. The music on this, it still hits the sweet spots always, but what is going to be number 1? Is it going to be a greatest hits compilation? I'm really surprised that we haven't seen Queen yet. I'm surprised that we didn't see the Eagles' greatest hits, and I'm also surprised that we didn't see Abbey Road by the Beatles anywhere in the top 50. But in number 1, we have the Eagles with their greatest hits. 38 million, 38 times platinum for an Eagles greatest hits compilation. That is befuddling, not because I dislike the music or anything, but it's kind of easy listening, soft rock. It makes sense that a lot of people would connect with this, but I think I'm just more surprised that I didn't see anything from Queen and Abbey Road was not here. That's a look at the top 50 best-selling albums of all time in the United States as of the end of 2020. Was there anything that surprised you like it did me, like Queen, or anything from the Beatles not appearing? Or was there something that did appear that you were very shocked and you had no idea it sold that well? Let me know in the comments section down below. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe for the love of music. Other than that, I'll be back soon for more on Beyond ARTV.